Welcome to the R Spot. If you have come back, then you already know that this is where we come to examine and explore and take an inquiring dive into all of the elements about relationships. For today's topic, I'm going to ask you to make sure that the children aren't in the room, that they're not there with you. And by children, I mean those individuals who cannot drink, smoke, or vote. Because today I want to talk about a very small but very important element of intimate, loving relationships. Today, I want to talk about sex. This is one of my favorite topics. And I want to share some things that are simply not appropriate for all ears. And while I am not a therapist and simply not a sex therapist, I do know some things about the underlying mechanics of sexual activity that I think you may find helpful and interesting. I also want to say that every day I receive hundreds of letters from people all over the world, and they ask me all sorts of questions and present many different issues. What I do is I look for some common themes or recurring questions. So when I get 25 or more inquiries about the same issue or topic, I make that a topic for the R Spot. So I have a folder of letters that I've received on the topic of sex. And the topic I want to address today, the topic that is the subject of these particular letters, is the sexless marriage or relationship. What happens when sex is no longer a part of a loving relationship? So let's dive in. Now, believe it or not, sexual activity or sexual connection is only a small part of a relationship. It's believed in the professional circles that sex makes up 10% of what goes on in a relationship. But it is the 10% that has a huge impact on the other 90% of the relationship. Because sex is the way that we connect mentally and emotionally. Sex is the way that we demonstrate our vulnerability in a relationship. Sex is the way we engage in intimacy in a relationship. And sex is the way that we create the invisible bond that gives the relationship meaning. Can you have a lasting, fulfilling relationship with your partner without sexual contact? Well, I'm sure you can if that's what you choose to do. But that is not what we're talking about today. Today, I am addressing relationships that are already established, those committed relationships where the sexual activity and attraction no longer exist, and where one or both partners are unhappy about it. I'm addressing some of the possibilities about why this happens and what can be done to rekindle or reignite the sexual passion and connection when the sex dies. Now, there are a variety of reasons that result in sexless marriages and relationships. Sometimes they're physical, other times they're psychological. There are also emotional reasons that result in one or both partners failing to or refusing to participate in sexual activity. So let's say that one partner has a physical condition that renders them sexually incapacitated. Not just ED, not just erectile dysfunction, but also there's all sorts of things that go on with women that render them sexually incapacitated. And sometimes people are on certain medications or they have ongoing physical ailments that render them unable or unwilling to perform or participate in sex. The issue is, what is the other partner supposed to do? Then there are those psychological reasons like stress, depression. Both of those are libido killers. When you have no will to live, or if you're overworked and overwhelmed, it will be hard to feel sexy or engage in sexual activity. When this is going on for both partners, it probably won't be an issue. But when one partner is willing and the other is unable, that will be a problem. Then, for many couples, there comes a time when the attraction simply dies. Maybe one has gained weight, or maybe one feels betrayed or unattractive, or maybe so much has gone on between them that's unaddressed and unresolved that the partners simply cannot or do not connect mentally or emotionally anymore. And what about if one partner or both partners have been hurt, betrayed, or wounded? What if they just grow tired or bored? What if it simply doesn't feel good anymore? What if the partner who wants to have sex continually gets rejected? What is that partner supposed to do when they want it, but you, the other partner, cannot or will not give it? I was watching this episode of Being Mary Jane on BET. I tell you all, I learned a lot on television. Where Kara, Mary Jane's friend and producer, was dating this really hot guy. I mean, she really liked him and he liked her, and they were in the early stages of the relationship. But one day he was going to try to get busy, and she told him, "Stop. I don't like how you do what you do in the sex department." And he was shocked. At first he got angry and tried to defend his manhood. But she told him basically, "I don't care what you've been told or what you think. What you are doing does not work for me." And then she did what so many women and couples fail to do. She taught him what she liked and taught him how to do it. I don't know if you saw that episode, but she had a peach. And she told him how to get the bit out the peach. I was happy for her. And she kept telling him and teaching him until he got it right. Now this raises two big issues: the willingness to have the conversation about sex and the willingness to make it work. So many couples just let the sexual part of the relationship die without addressing it. They make up all sorts of reasons about why it is happening without having an open, honest conversation, because it's a sensitive issue. And when it is the man who is incapacitated, his ego becomes involved. He probably feels his manhood will be questioned, so he will avoid the topic. And the woman may feel uncomfortable raising the issue when the shutdown occurs. Or when the shutdown occurs for the woman, she will usually avoid the topic and resist the partner's advances, sometimes making him wrong and offering no explanation. So the bottom line is this: when the sex stops and one partner is unhappy about it, the subject must be addressed. So what happens when one partner is willing and the other is unwilling or incapacitated? Then the issue becomes whether or not the incapacitated partner is willing to support the sexual satisfaction of the other partner. This means, are you willing to talk, touch, play games, use toys, read books in an effort to help your partner be satisfied? And when one partner cannot, for whatever reason, engage in sexual activity, they can still support their partner in being sexually satisfied. Does that make you uncomfortable? Come on, people, we all grown. These are the things we must talk about. If you cannot perform, you cannot and should not expect your partner to live a sexless life. And maybe, just maybe, supporting your partner will help you get interested again. Now what happens when the other partner is unwilling to engage for whatever reason? They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to participate in it, and may even get upset when you bring up the subject of sex. What are you going to do? Well, that's when self-satisfaction comes in. You know the word, the M word, masturbation, self-pleasuring. It means taking care of yourself when your partner is unwilling to be engaged. Now, what you do, when you do it, and how you do it is a matter of choice, but you can do it. Please know you can do it. Should you do it? I vote yes. If you are committed to remain in the marriage or in the relationship where your partner is unable or unwilling to participate in sexual activity, it becomes your responsibility to meet your own needs. The alternative is to be sexless, unfulfilled, and probably frustrated. The choice is yours. Then, you can also consider taking on an outside lover. But this can lead to other complications such as dishonesty, betrayal, and the loss of integrity. It's a possible alternative. It's something you may want to consider, but just remember there are going to be consequences to that choice. What happens when one partner is simply no longer sexually attracted to or stimulated by their partner? Something has turned them on. Something is simply not clicking. You may love the person, but they simply don't turn you on. This is a really difficult situation, and it is one that must be addressed. You must tell your partner what is going on, and you must be willing to accept that the underlying reasons for the turnoff are yours, not your partner's. There's something you're thinking, feeling, believing, holding that has created a mental or an emotional block that has nothing to do with how your partner looks or what they do or do not do. And only clear, authentic communication is going to address the issue. This, I believe, is the situation where outside intervention in the form of therapy or couples counseling will serve you well. If you're not willing to get some support in resolving the issues, chances are the relationship will suffer, and it may lead to infidelity, arguments, and other breakdowns. If this is your situation, please, I encourage you to get some help. Then, there are those situations where sex has simply faded. The sex light has gone out. The relationship is good and solid. Both people are faithful. Neither of them cares that they're no longer sexually connected. They kiss, they cuddle, they hug, they communicate, they handle their responsibilities and all the business of the relationship, but they are no longer sexually engaged. Well, if it works for you, it'll work. If it works for you, then let it work and do what you do. Chances are you are not the people who are writing me, okay? When, however, you're in a situation where you want sex but don't get it, or when you want to give it and cannot, there are things that you can do. Number one, change your environment. Go away for the weekend. Take a cruise. Put yourself in an environment where you can see each other in a different light, in a new light. If that doesn't work, read a book, a picture book. They have lovely ones, trust me, I know, that will give you new ideas and new positions and new possibilities about sex and how to engage it in new and exciting ways. Or get yourself some toys, role play, talk to each other about what you like, talk about your fantasies. Be willing to support your partner, but be careful and mindful of trying to force your partner to do something they are afraid of or uncomfortable doing. Again, while sex is such a small part of a relationship, it is a small part that matters, and a part that is affected by and affects every other part of the relationship. There is no reason to live life in a sexless relationship unless there are physical incapacitation or if that's what you choose to do. But if that is not your choice, be willing to ask for what you want, and if you don't get it from your partner, be willing to take care of your own needs. And if your partner cannot and will not support you, get some help to address the possible underlying issues. Now, if you're the partner who cannot perform, be willing to support your partner in finding some satisfaction. And if you are the one whose libido has died, talk about it and be open to the fact that there is someone who will be willing to give your partner what they need and want. So for all you people that have written me, I hope this helps. Until next time, bye.